Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about The Book of Lists Horror by Amy Wallace, Del Howison, and Scott Bradley. And by is loosely by. They are contributors to it. They write some of the lists, but they are also compiling all of the lists by other people and editing. So wearing many hats, but they're not the only authors of this book. There are tons and tons of people who have contributed, and this is essentially a book of lists about horror. Stephen King's 10 favorite horror novels or short stories. Top 6 grossing horror movies of all time in the United States. Top 10 horror-themed rock and roll songs, and much, much more. That's your nutshell. For the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this thing 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. It didn't blow me away. Now, I believe the reason I recently purchased this and read it is because it was in Cracking Spines, 3 Decades of Horror by Jason Cavallero. Pretty certain that was one of the books probably in his nonfiction category. Seems to make sense, thinking logically. And I put it on my wish list and then immediately bought it and then immediately read it. So, first of all, and this did not affect my rating in any way. It just makes me kind of sad that half of this book is about movies. Maybe slightly under half if you take into account the introduction and stuff, counting pages for, well, that doesn't take up any pages. So, let me see. We have 400, that looks like a 10. 410 pages and 217 pages about movies. So over half of the book is about movies. We've got a section about movies, section about books, section about music, and then sort of a miscellaneous section, and then a section where basically non-famous people contributed a few things. So it makes me a little sad that even back in, where are we? 2008, movies are more prevalent, more popular, more important. I'm not sure important's necessarily the right word. Not to me anyway, than any of these other things. And especially now, the people I talk to at work, the non-readers, the people that, why would I read the book if I can watch the movie? That sort of thing just kind of makes me sad. I know that the folks watching my channel are readers, and I appreciate and love all of you. And I do know a few people that read. And even some of those are simply they read Twilight and things like that, which I'm not going to get into anything about that. People reading is generally always a good thing, but they're limited in what they read, which fine. Everybody has their own life to live. I just wish more people were reading more. And it saddens me that movies seem to be dominating. I love movies. But given the choice, 95% of the time, I'm going to pick reading over watching a movie or watching TV. I have a shit ton of DVDs and Blu-rays of movies and TV shows. Love to watch that stuff. But reading is where it's at, kids. Anyway, all right, so but that does not affect my 3 out of 5. Has nothing to do with that. That's just an observation. So why is it a 3 out of 5? I liked it. Didn't really like it. Didn't love it. It's maybe closer to a 3.5 but I didn't want to bump this one up to a 4. So since Goodreads doesn't give halves, had to make it a 3. But between you and me, 3.5. And it's, I don't know, it didn't necessarily hit me the way something like Cracking Spines did, or even I think Mother Horrors, Sadie Hartman's 101 horror books to read before you die, or whatever the exact title is. I don't recall exactly what it is. So what you have here is lists. And so, very first thing, chapter 1, keep repeating it's only a movie. The top 6 grossing horror films of all time in the United States, has adjusted for inflation. And it's the top 6. That's it. It's a little chart. And it's, again, 2008. So a lot of things may be different if they did an updated version of this book. There are some problematic people in this book. A lot of opinions about problematic people who weren't necessarily problematic back then. And the first one that comes to mind is I can't remember his name. Victor Silva, the director of Jeepers Creepers. And the director of Hardware, I think I think that dude's nuts. But again, that doesn't necessarily affect my opinion of things. There are some very fun lists in here. Director of Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and I can picture him. I can hear his voice, and for some reason my brain isn't functioning properly, so I can't think of his name. It'll pop up into my head. But anyway, his list was about what he calls ouchies, which are the most painful, if I could find it in here. Unfortunately, the table of contents, or I suppose fortunately, because the table of contents would go on forever, only lists the sections, not the actual lists. But ouchies are the wounds, the things that happen in a movie that are relatable, I suppose, is the way I'm going to put it. And it's actually something that I have talked about. You can see I'm looking through here trying to find it. It's actually something I have talked about because as this director, because Simon Pegg always pops into my head when I think about these things, directed Baby Driver, was going to direct Ant-Man. Anyway, as he says, and I have said in many conversations, I don't know what it's like to have my head chopped off. I don't know what it's like to have limbs lopped off by a chainsaw. I don't know what it's like, although this is a little closer to an ouchie, to have my foot caught in a bear trap. But I do know what it's like to be cut with a scalpel or to get a big splinter, things like that. And so that's what he's talking about, generally speaking, in his list, is his top 10 ouchies. And one of them that I always immediately go to in my brain is from the movie The Curse, which was possibly the first adaptation of The Color Out of Space, the H.P. Lovecraft. Edgar Wright. Jesus Christ. I found it. Edgar Wright. And he calls it, ouch, I'm sorry, but that has got to hurt. Moments in horror films. So his top 10, ouch, I'm sorry, but that has got to hurt. In The Curse, which I believe is the first adaptation of The Color Out of Space, the main female character, the mother of this farm family, is darning a sock, and she's off screen for a bit, and her kids, I believe, maybe her husband, they hear her making these weird noises as she's darning this sock. And they go over to see what's going on, and she is sewing the sock to her hand. And to me, because I've been pricked by needles, to me, that is, I felt that viscerally, and more so than, when I see, again, someone getting split in half by a chainsaw. That's when I'm going, cool, look at those effects, that looks great. Something like someone sticking a knitting needle, or not a knitting needle, a sewing needle into their flesh. To me, that's, oh, I can feel that. So that's the kind of thing that Edgar Wright is talking about. There's also someone who used to be a bodyguard, private investigator, I believe, in that field, and they write their top 10 or top however many, these aren't all 10, top tactical things in horror movies or tactical mistakes in horror movies. And it's like, whenever a weapon comes into your hand, check to see that it's loaded and ready to go, whether you've found it somewhere or it's been out of your control and someone hands it to you. Don't just assume that you're going to be able to pull the trigger and go. Make sure it's loaded. And of course, the very popular, make sure the person is dead. The bad guy, shoot him in the head if you have to. Too many bad guys, get back up. Anyway, these are some of the lists. And then there's people who talk just all sorts of different categories. Bob Murawski's 12 greatest grindhouse horror one-sheets. Oh, and there's some posthumous lists. We have, I believe it's Joey Ramone's favorite horror memorabilia, something like that. And so his wife adds little notes to each part of the entry. Tommy O'Haver's top 10 women in peril horror films. Ann Magnuson's 22 sexiest movie monsters, human and otherwise. Very fun list. I'm a big fan of Ann Magnuson, her band Bongwater. She's got a great, fun attitude, it seems. C. Courtney Joyner's top 10 horror movie surgical blunders. Anyway, that's an idea, an idea of some of the things that they talk about in the movies. Then when we get to the books, right here, I just opened up Bentley Little's 10 horror one-hit wonders that everyone should read. So there you go. That's the kind of thing you're going to find in the books. Michael Slade's horrific inspirations for his 13 novels. That was a great one. I really liked that because I'm a Michael Slade fan, even though I have not read nearly all 13 of those. And then, but some of the lists, some people are really, really pushing the definition of horror. One person in the music section, I forget who it is, it was like top 10 horror movie songs. I don't remember exactly how the title of their list was worded, but then all they did was talk about how horrible these songs were. Some people will agree with that, with this that I'm about to mention, but like Ben from the movie Ben, the Michael Jackson song Ben, I happen to be a fan of that song because it's a song about a killer rat. But it's on his list, but he craps all over it. The Man Behind the Mask by Alice Cooper for Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. I believe he craps on that one. That might be one of the few he doesn't. But it's supposed to be his top 10 list, and nowhere in the title of his list does it say bad songs. But he craps all over it. That kind of bothered me. So that, does contribute to only 3.5. Not a lot of pictures in here. I assume this would have to do with copyright issues. Steve Niles talks about his top 10 or however many favorite horror comic book covers, and I believe there's only a couple of pictures. And as I said, I assume that has to do with copyright getting permission or whatever. Let's see. Here we go. Steve Niles' top 20 horror comic covers, and it shows 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 20. But then someone has a list on their top 10 or however many horror pulp covers, and it shows every single one of those. That is one of the last ones ever. So let's see. It is R.B. Payne's top 10 best horror pulp magazine covers, and it shows all 10. Again, that's not necessarily affecting my rating because, again, I assume it's a copyright issue. Anyway, it's a fun, entertaining book. I would be interested in an updated version, a 2025 edition, so we get almost 20 more years worth of stuff and see what people's opinion, how some people's opinions might have changed about things, how stuff gets shifted around on people's lists. Excuse me. So some interesting things in here, some things that I'm just like, I don't care. And I mentioned Cracking Spines by Jason Cavallero. I gave that 5 out of 5, and one of the reasons was I was putting a bunch of stuff on my wish list, a bunch of the books he was talking about, and I don't think there's anything on here or in here that I was compelled to put on my Amazon wish list or look up. So it's fine. If you're a horror fan, there's nothing wrong with reading this book at all. I think you'll find it entertaining. And maybe you will find some things that you're compelled to go and dig deeper into. But only 3.5 stars for me. That's between I liked it and I really liked it, but it just didn't blow me away. The Book of Lists Horror, Amy Wallace, Del Howison, and Scott Bradley. And there you have it. Question for the video. Do you have a favorite book of, what would you call it? I don't know. Favorite book of lists, I suppose. That's the easiest way. Or let's go favorite, even we'll throw in like TV shows, because there have been lots of TV shows that list, top 100 horror scares, top 100 this, top 10 that. Do you have a favorite book or show of lists? Let me know in the comments below. As for me, there's a lot. I really like Sadie Hartman's book, 101 Horror Books to Read Before You Die. I think Rue Morgue, maybe? One of the magazines, horror magazines, maybe Fangoria, put out a book of, I think, lesser known horror movies. That was enjoyable. Cracking Spines by Jason Cavallero, 5 out of 5 stars. I like this kind of stuff, and I like it especially if it's going to introduce me to new things. What about you? And I did watch, back when I had cable and stuff, I did watch the 100 or 101, whatever it was, scariest horror movie moments. And I think there was another, like a companion one, but I can't remember. But yeah, I dig that kind of stuff. What about you? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Blue Sky in the description below. That's all I've got. I've been Eric Smith. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I did that in the opposite order that I normally do. But until next time, read more books.